Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. I would now like to welcome Swami, our speaker for today's session. He is an aspirant software architect and currently works at Applied Information Sciences. He loves to learn about new technologies, but for now, I will hand over to Swami to begin the session. Let me bring him into the stream. Hey Swami, how are you?
Hey Rashmita, I'm doing good. Thanks so much. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. The screen is up and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Rashmita, and thank you all for joining. And this is the series which we are going through. And Rashmita will give these links. This is my GitHub, and I'm sure this is not Chartbot. This is I am checking in the code. Someone told that I love this Chartbot. I said, oh no, it's not Chartbot. It is I'm practicing every day. And this is the demo script for today's session. And these two links Rashmita will give you. And let's start a minute, and we'll spend a minute to see how the things are going. And we are covering the official syllabus as we discussed quite a few times. But again, I'll quickly want to spend 2 minutes on this. So we have completed this entire section and this section, and this one I think one more part is there. That's the uh, rag one, which is on okay, this 26 is there. Okay, two more sessions in that. Two more sessions, then this will be done. Then we'll come back and go through these three chapters, because these two we completed. Then I thought nowadays generative AI skills are more needed. So that was the reason I jumped the line and directly came here. So now that we have a decent exposure on Gen AI, I don't say that we are experts, but to a decent extent, we have covered uh, we have covered a lot of topics. If we quickly see that, we saw Azure OpenAI Service, and then we spent a decent amount, two sessions, a minimum 2 hours. We covered on prompt engineering, and then we covered generative images generation, and today we'll cover this. Then we'll come back to the code generation and the RAG pattern. I think to a decent extent, we can say that we have covered the Gen AI. Okay, so what is that we are going to do today? That's a good question. And and uh, and I need to show you one slide. Uh, Not this. Yeah, this one. I'm still a learner. Apologize if I do any mistake. And in one of the session, I'm not pointing anyone. In one of the session, a guy was asking two different questions, which was not from the current session or the current topics, and I was 100%, more than 100% sure that the guy already knows the answer, and he was trying whether I know it or not. As I was mentioning, I'm a learner. I just know a drop in a big ocean. So I don't feel shy to say that, no, I don't know. I will definitely say, if I don't know, I will clearly say that I don't know. I will not blabber anything or do something. Okay. So I'm just a learner. So please feel free to ask any queries. I'll do my level best to answer it. If I'm not sure, I'll go back, I'll learn, and I'll come back. I did that twice. When someone asked a question I didn't know, I went back, I fixed my fundamentals and came back and told about that query. That's the first thing I do. It's just a disclaimer that I'm just a learner. Okay. Thanks. So let's come back and look at what is that we are going to cover today. And here in this demo script, you see the source code I have given, the link, which is this link will be there. It will navigate to AI ML 2024. That's the repo, and this is the link of the series. It's a playlist. It directly takes you to the Microsoft Reactors. You'll see the 14 videos are there and 14 more to come, or 14 or 20, whatever it is. We'll cover the official syllabus. We'll learn. The knowledge is more important. It's not the number of episodes or whatever it is. It's the knowledge that is what very important. So 14 are there. I have given everything over there, and let's quickly start. I mean, most of the things which we have covered, and then we'll like officially we'll again go back to that particular piece and look at that. Okay, so this is the section. So if you see that this particular section, if you see the natural language solutions, which we are covering in this section, so we'll see that integrate Azure OpenAI. That also we have seen it, and create a OpenAI resource and choose a model, authentication, prompt engineering, available endpoints, and and these all things we have covered to a decent extent. We have tried it multiple times, but anyways, we'll again come back and we'll look at that real quick. So that it will be like a refresher kind of thing. The next two episodes, the code generation and RAG, will be fantastic, and I'm also waiting for that. So let me go back to this one, and AI. I'll be doing some experiments, so you'll see something. So here we will know that I'll just take this guy out so that it'll be easy for us. So when you go here and look at that, create a new resource. Create a new resource, and we can find this. Okay, Azure OpenAI. The icon has changed. Previously, the Azure OpenAI was the OpenAI icon. Now you are seeing that a different icon I'm seeing. Okay, just we know how to create it. So this is one thing. And the second thing is choosing a model. That is very important. Now, how do we navigate is we already seen it, but again, we'll quickly look at it. So we will click on this, the Azure OpenAI, and here in the overview pane, so you can see that you have the monitor Azure OpenAI usage, develop, explore and deploy, build a better generative AI, explore AI Studio, or go to Azure OpenAI Studio. These two are two different studios. So let's look at this at a high level. You can see that. So we are here in this Azure OpenAI Studio, and inside that, let me come back to this one. No. Let me go back. Just give me a minute. So if I come back to go to this one, Azure OpenAI Studio. Okay, I just want to stick to that OpenAI Studio. Ooh, it changed it totally again. So every now and then this is getting switched to old look. Okay, let's stick to this one. We have to be on the bleeding edge of the technology. So here we will see the model catalog. Okay, now the studios, every now and then it is changing. Last week, whatever the studio I was seeing, and now suddenly I'm seeing a different studio. Let's stick to this. So the next one is choose and deploy a model. So before going deep into that, we need to know that what is the model with which we need to work, or with which we want to work. So the capabilities of the model is very, very important. Okay, some of the models can do running, high jump, and long jump. Some can do running, high jump, long jump, javelin throw. Like this, it can do multiple things. We need to know. We need to know that. Like it's like initially we discussed whether it is a strong or weak. That means it can do a single task or it can do set of tasks. So something like that. Like if you see here, the models, there are lots of models are there. So all we need to know is you need to come and you need to be very, very specific, like what is that you want to do. Okay, so you can see this, whether you want to do a chart completions or whether it is an embedding, text to speech, text to image. Like text to image is DALI, we know DALI 2 and DALI 3. Now suppose if I want to do only the embeddings, so what options do I have? Text embedding, ADA, this one, text embedding. These are the things which are available. So we need to know the capability of the we need to know the capability of a particular model. So there are these many models which are available. I mean, there are a lot of models are there, but these are the things which I'm seeing right now. Okay, now from the deployment perspective, if you come here, you can see this one. Okay, we see that generative pre-trained transformer GPTs are there, and GPT-3, 3.5 turbo, that, and embeddings, different models are there. And we know that each model have been trained and has got a set of capabilities. Like if you see that older model, the model family and capability is indicated in the name, like text Davinci, text Ada, those kind of things. Now, the recent model, what is happening is that is starting with the generation. That means if you see that, let's go back to the model. Let's go back to the model over here. Now you see that here the model's name is starting with the GPT-4, 1.0 mini, 1.0 preview, or GPT-432 text embedding, TTS, Whisper, DALI, like you have Da Vinci, these kind of things. Look, that's the naming convention. Previously, it used to called as text Da Vinci. Now here it start with the Babbage, or you can see this is very exclusively for completions. It's not chart; it is completions. Like it's like a model which we can use it for a single turn. That means I ask one question, it gives me an answer. That's it, done and dusted. Now, if you see the instruct is the chart completion, but also instruct has a similar capabilities to text DaVinci. Okay, so that is very, very important. We need to know the capability of that. So we should know the capability, as well as the naming convention has changed. So previously it is to specify the model family and the capability. Now it is starting with the generation. Like you can see this GPT O1, GPT-4, all these things. Okay, now authentication. So how do we authenticate this one? There are three important things. Let's see that. The important things is we will specify the endpoint, key, and the model. We will see that in the next unit. Now the prompt engineering also, we have seen that. So here if you see that the prompt engineering is very, very important. Now based on this, it is like a one shot sample. That means we have specified something and we have given an example and how to categorize it. So let's take this, and how both models will differ. We need to understand that also. So if I'm going to completions, so completions is like we saw Babbage or DaVinci or Ada. Those are the text models. So here, if you go and see this, which I'm giving it to the text model, it is clearly specifying it as business. Now this is like a singleton. Now if I want to ask another query, I need to ask it remove this. I mean, this is done and dusted kind of things. Now if I come here to the chart model, I will go and use 4o, and here I'm using this one. This is very powerful model. So it is giving it as category as business. So this is like I can start category. Now I can give headline, something like this. OpenAI has released few new models. Just I'm giving something else. Let's see that. Might not be definitely related, but it is clearly using its best judgment and telling that okay, this belongs to technical. Like the first one was entertainment, second one was categorized as business, the third one is tech. So like this, it is like a chart completion is a singleton, and this is like we can have a conversation. We will see that example, and here the available endpoints also we will see that. What endpoints are available, we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll see all different models. Now this is very important now. Like Azure OpenAI offers REST API for interacting. Now the key three important pieces as I was mentioning, one is the endpoint, one is the key, and one is the deployment name. Now if you come and see the deployments, this is the model name. What I did is I have added hyphen D name to the model, like it is DALI E3. I said that DALI E3 D name, and Turbo 3516K D name, and Turbo Instruct D name, and GPT-4o D name. Like the deployment name is very important. So it's if we use the same name, we'll be confused whether we are using the model name or the deployment name. The third piece of information is the deployment name. We need to know the deployment name. And here they are showing the chart completions, and where the deployment name will come into the picture is the deployment name will come into the picture at this place, your deployment. So whether it is be it a chart completion or be it embeddings or image, anything. So let's see a couple of examples quickly. Let's go to this. This is completions. This is a singleton. Okay. So GPT-35 Turbo Instruct D name. So is that part of Turbo Instruct D name? Yes, it is. So that is where it comes into the picture. Like we need to have the endpoint, we need to have the key, and we need to have the deployment name. So we are able to deploy. I mean, we are able to use the endpoint, and it gave us the answer. Now this REST endpoint, once you're able to hit it with the postman, now there are host number of options for us to go and use it. Like you can see that that's Python, and you can use the C# HTTP client, REST, curl, Dart, Go, HTTP, Java, and you have Node.js with Axios native, Node.js request. A lot of things are there, like PHP, PowerShell. See that the host number of options are there. So it's not one option. You have a lot of options are there if you want to use it. So you can see that over here. Okay. And now let's come back to the chart completions. Now again, I come to the chart completions. Now here, if it is here, you can see that GPT-4o D name. So let's come back and see that GPT-4o D name. We are using this one. Now here we have two things. We have the system message and we have the text. So where does this system message come into the picture is if you come to the chart window and you can select this, and the parameters, let me use this max, and this is the give the model instructions and context. Like if you click on this, so this is where we'll specify Now, how do you know that? Let me clear this off, clear the chart, and I'm saying that what is a what is a TV? So I'm clicking on that. What is a TV? It is giving this television, and now I go into the view code. Now you can see here. So in the messages, the role is system, content is text, and you're giving this information. Similarly, if you see this here, role is system, content, I'm saying that you are an expert cardiologist. Here it says that you are an assistant which will help people find the information. Now here I'm specifically telling the model that it is an expert cardiologist. I'm asking the same question: what is a TV? Okay, the same question we asked it over here to a AI assistant. It's a general AI assistant. It spoke about the television, but when we gave it a role specifying that you are an expert cardiologist, and now it says that in the context of cardiology, TV is something. It's coming with the medical term. Even I don't know that, but it's coming with a medical term. So it's all depends upon the system message and the context. Okay, what is that which is happening? Okay, that is one important thing. And the second point, chart completions, we have seen, embeddings we have seen. And let's go to the next unit. Okay, we'll see that. Yeah, we'll come back to this. Just give me a minute. And we need to do one more thing. And I really liked nowadays there the OpenAI has been too very strict. Okay, see this: a cat and mouse sitting side by side enjoying a meal. The cat is relishing a dish of sambar rice while the mouse happily eats curd rice. Both are sipping a cold beverage and have side of crispy chips, right? So I'll just click on that. So this is the DALI. That means we are speaking with this image, and here we can write those prompts. I'm using the same model, DALI 3 dname. You can see that DALI E3 dname. It has given the results. We can click on that, and there you go. So you see that cat and mouse both are eating, and we said that sambar rice and curd rice. So pretty much we said about the cold beverages and chips. And one thing is I just noticed, which was working till last week, I remember. I used to give chilled beer. So when I gave the chilled beer, you see this. This is the new one which I have seen it today. I didn't observe. Maybe it was there since long. I didn't observe that, but I observed it just today. That the prompt, whatever I gave it, if it, I don't know how it is revising. It is revising. Both are sipping cold beverage. Okay, instead of cold beverage, I said that chilled beers. Okay, let's try this again. But for some reason, it is not giving the beers. I think somewhere they are blocking it. The beers, maybe for some reason. It's for a good reason only, not for some reason. Someone has put it as chilled glasses of non-alcoholic drink. See this? We clearly told that chilled beers here, but internally the prompt is getting revised. Both are sipping chilled glass of non-alcoholic drink. I think it's because alcoholic one. So it is. See this new image. This was the previous image. We clearly told that it's chilled. Cool drinks. And now even though we specified like chilled beer, but it internally revised the prompt, and you're seeing that cat is eating sambar rice and this guy is eating curd rice, chips on side, but instead of beer, it's soft drinks. So they are internally modifying this one. Let's come back to the cold beverage. Now see this, when we give this prompt as a cold beverage, because it's non-alcoholic, it's not saying anything. You can see that cold beverage. Okay, cold beverage like a fruit juice or something. Like even beers are not allowed. Previously, last week it was allowed, but this week even that's under coming under the alcoholic effect, and they removed it. It's a good thing. So that's I want to show up from the REST API perspective. Okay. Now, in this chapter, we will see that we are using the Open Azure OpenAI SDK. So whether you want to use the C# or Python. So one thing which is very important is whatever the version of the packages which we are using, we need to stick to that, because when we try to upgrade it, you need to ensure that there is no breaking change. If at all there is a breaking change, things will stop working. We'll see that first. So here, if you see that, let me go to manage NuGet package. So we see Azure AI. The what we are using is one dot series one, and now it is beta, or at least you can see this two. We can use two. Right now we are using one dot beta. Now, when I come back to this, I mean, we'll not use it, but I just wanted to show you. So if I go back to Azure OpenAI client, so if you go to that Azure OpenAI client, and here at the top, it is one dot change, and we'll come back to the place where we were, and see the constructor of this Azure OpenAI client, which was here, which is here. It has got endpoint, key credentials, and client options. These are the three things. Now, just for the understanding sake, we are doing it. I know this is the breaking change. Definitely, this is a breaking change. Now, let's go and install the 2.0. Again, we'll revert it back, but just for 2 minutes, we'll use this one. Now, did it install? Okay, it installed it. Now, after installing, you see that a lot of places it start breaking. It started breaking. I can see this using, and now we need to go into this. So there are different things. It doesn't need the API key. I mean, all the three parameters which we were using it, we are not seeing that three parameter constructor here. Now what we are seeing is we are seeing different constructor give the API key, and that API key it internally uses, and client options it takes it as null. So what is that which is happening technically is like it is using these credentials. Like that's the first parameter, isn't it here? Here it is the first one, the API key, or I can go ahead and remove this, or just give the API key. Okay, like this again, we need to go and fix a lot of things at different places. It is little risky. So what I'll do is I'll revert back the code. I just wanted to show you. So whenever you're using not only this, any where you're using, so please ensure that if at all you're bumping up the version, you need to ensure that there are no breaking changes. So from 1 to 2, there will be there might be breaking changes. I'm not sure there will be. There might be, but we need to ensure that we need to be extra careful. That's the only thing. So now coming back to this, we will be using the Python one. So because we were keeping this as a pending since long, so I just wanted to spend some time on this one. So here, a couple of things. This documentation is there here in the here itself. If you go to the end of that, here you will see the documentation, right? So the GitHub is there, and here is the documentation. So Azure OpenAI beta 14, but we are using 17. But pip install OpenAI 1.13.3. So we'll see that what is that we are using. I think we are using the same. Yeah, 1.13. The only one difference which I see from this documentation is they asked us to install OpenAI and then directly going in here and in the Python they are using the env. Like if you see that, and the Python code will use the env. So that means .env is a must. If you see the .env, we are saying that import this. So load env so that it will read the env file, and it is somewhat similar to the app settings.json. So what is happening is this particular instructions was missing. So I just gave it here. The first thing is we need to install the, let me deactivate. First thing is we need to install the virtual environment, and after that we will do activate. Now you see this, the prompt is like this. Now let me come back here. So you can see that this is the .vanv, and here is virtual environment .venv and scripts activate. The moment I click on this, you see that this will turn into a virtual environment .venv. That's the name of the virtual environment which we have created. This is the instruction. So this is the name. That's the name, and it is this. And the same thing, you will be able to see the virtual environment. That means we are in the virtual environment. Now sometimes the pip upgrade has to be done. If at all the pip upgrade is needed, just will be executing this. It is always, it's right now, it is up to that. Okay. Now what we can do is pip freeze list. Now it shows that what all the packages which are there. So generally the instructions is whenever we complete some programming, we do pip freeze into the requirement. So what happened is with that, all the required packages within this virtual environment, what all the things which are needed will be pushed into the requirements.txt. So anyone who grabs your code, they will be able to do pip install directly. They don't need to worry that executing all these things. They don't need to worry. All they need to do is pip install -r requirements.txt. So it will do that. Now that we are here, let's see the first sample, whatever which was mentioned in this sample. So the first thing is the Python code. We are from OpenAI, import OpenAI. So we'll see that we are importing this, as well as this also has to be done. So that instructions I've given in the README file. Now the next thing is that we will create Azure OpenAI. We need to pass endpoint key and the version number. endpoint key and the version number. And after that, this is a system message. So we are taking the, okay, that's the second sample. This is the first hello world sample. Oh, it's not from this, I'm sorry. It's from here. So that, and this is the deployment name. And here is this, we are saying that we need to specify the system and the content, system message and user. So you see that user, what is that user is asking. And then we will generate the response. Here we'll call that client.chart.completions create. Now you can, if you want to know something more on this one, click on completions. So it will take you that to that particular class. And let me come back to this one. And if you want about the chart, you'll see this class, chart class. Okay. So within this OpenAI, we are having the completions, we are having chart, embedding, file, images, audio. A lot of these things are there, but we are little concentrating on the chart completion. So we create it, and this is the model deployment. So that's the model name again. Sorry, the deployment name. It's not model name. Okay, it's a deployment name. And then we will generate the response messages dot content 0 message and the content. Now let's see this, execute this one. Now I'm inside that src folder. Now if I execute this, you see that starting the chart completion request, please wait and see this in context of cardiology. You see similar thing which we did it here in the chart completion. We said that you are an expert cardiologist, and you see we said the same thing, you are an expert cardiologist. What is a TB? Same thing, right? So that's about the first sample which we have seen it. And next thing for 5 is an exercise. So let's see this exercise a little bit of complex, not a big thing, but a little bit of complex. So let's see that in a minute. So the same thing again, we'll come back and we'll see in C# also. We'll be seeing in both C# as well as in Python programming languages. We'll see both the languages. First, we'll focus on Python. So, and I'll keep this one also side by side. So we'll come back to this one, and we see using Azure OpenAI APIs in your app. And this we did quite a few times. We created Azure OpenAI, and we saw that before starting, and standard pricing tier. And the model deployment is GPT 35 Turbo 16K, but I think instead I'm using GPT 4o. And here, first thing is we need to install the .NET package, and here we'll see that the .NET package is this one, and this is 1.13. So that's also, we have seen that here as part of the installation pip install 1.13. So we saw that. And step 2 is as I was mentioning, in C# we will use app settings. Here it is .env. Then we need to have the 3 pieces: endpoint, key, and the deployment name. Sometimes if you're using REST API thing, you definitely need the model version. Sorry, API version. What is the version which you are using? Like we have seen here in the previous sample, API version is very, very important. If not, some of the API version will accept more number of parameters, less number of parameters, or different parameters. So you might not get a proper response, or calls will fail if you don't specify the proper API version. Okay. And now coming back to this one. So what we are importing, we will see that. So let me come back over here, and in the program.cs at the top, we are specifying azure.ai.openai, azure. This one, and in the Python world, we are saying that from OpenAI import the Azure OpenAI. So now we can go back and we see the same thing here: endpoint, deployment, API version, API key. A lot of other things are there, but at least to a decent extent, we know that what is this Azure OpenAI. And in the step 3, where we are creating the OpenAI client, we are passing the endpoint and key credentials. So just give the key, it should work if it is 2.0, but this is the previous version where we need to pass endpoint and the key credentials, Azure key credentials. But if you see from the Python world perspective, they are accepting the endpoint API key as well as the API version. Little difference between both. Now you see it has got the URI, endpoint, and the key credentials in the C# world, but in the Python world, we are seeing that it is asking the API version. So here we are not worrying about the deployment name, but at least those two things are very important when we are creating the Azure OpenAI client. Okay, you see that here when you mouse over, it's having this API version there. So that's the step 3. And step 4 is, this is the previous version. I'll just walk you through. So it creates the chart completions, and then it get chart completions in C#. So here also you can see that it creates the chart completion where you have 2 messages. Now, how do you know that how to pass this is, now we can come back to this chart, and let me go back here and click on the view code. And here in the view code, in the key authentication, we can see that in C# or Python for that matter of fact. So you can see that there will be one for the system and one for the user. Then there will be, if it is a conversation dialog, then there will be more number of messages. And each message we send it to the server will be costing us. So we need to be extra careful. We'll see that the conversation history will come back to that one. I'm parking it for 10 minutes until we see this, and we'll come back. So here what we are doing is we are not using the same sample what it was given, but we are going to the next version. So I just want to show you that. So here we are having this chart completion and we are retrieving it. So let's see this for a minute, and again we'll come back and we'll revisit. So assume that we are passing the messages. Okay, here is the chart completion options, and here we are saying that chart completion options. So in this chart completion options, we are adding the number of messages. This is the part 2 of that, but before passing, it is the part 1 is this. Like you have a messages, a system message, a input, and then rest of the parameters where you are saying that client dot get chart completions. That will give the completions response. From there you can pick up the message. So this is like a singleton. Like you send some query, you set up the context, you are giving a role play for the assistant. You're saying that now you are an expert kung fu fighter, now you are an expert chef, now you are a software architect, now you are a cardiologist. Now you are giving the context or the role play to the assistant and then passing in the message. It's like a singleton. It's not, even though it's a chart, it's a singleton. I ask a question and the GPT or the model is giving me a response. It's just a single turn. We set the context, we pass the query, we get the response. That's a single turn. Like here also, if you see this, the Python version, here you'll see the chart completion, you'll pass the messages, two messages. Here, if you see that, here in the singleton, there will be two messages. One is the system message, one is the user message, singleton. You send these two messages and then you get the response. So that's one thing. So again, after testing that, we want to maintain the conversation history. So we want to maintain the conversation history. So let's spend 5 minutes time on this to understand the conversation history before going further. So I'll clear this. Now I'm saying that what is an apple? So I sent one query, it's it. And then I got what is a orange? I sent a second question. Ah, God. Who is Albert Einstein? I'm sure I made a mistake in spelling. Oh, no. Good. So here, if you see, I asked about apple, I asked about orange, I asked about Albert Einstein. Uh, which one is good? Now I'm throwing a generic question. My intention is whether apple or orange is good, but I'm throwing it a general question to it. And now see the intelligence of this. Could you please clarify? Are you asking about apple versus oranges? Or perhaps comparing something related to Albert Einstein? That's pretty good. Then see this. Now, if we go back to the code, and now let's understand the context. See, the first we are setting the context. We are saying that you are a helpful assistant. Now, that's a system message. User asked a question. Assistant gave an answer. This is system. See this. There are three players in the game: system, user, and assistant. So here, system means we are fixing it a role, saying that you're an assistant, or you're a boxer, you're a kung fu fighter, you're a chef, you're a software architect, you're a cardiologist, like this. And now user asks some question, assistant is giving an answer. And now user asked a question on orange, assistant gave an answer. Now user asked who is Albert Einstein, assistant gave. Now user is asking which one is good. Okay. Now, because we are passing all the previous conversation to the model, then model is deciding that based on the previous context, there were two questions on fruits and one question on scientists. Now, when this question, which one is good, what is the user wants very specifically? Is he asking about the first two questions, which are fruits, or is he asking about the scientist? And if it is scientist, what is that he's comparing with? That's what it's clearly saying, that if, here see this, if at all, or perhaps comparing something related to Albert Einstein, provide more context. So the context is very important. And see, the parameters is very, very important. Is the past messages to include is 10. So you can have more messages from the context perspective also. But the thing is that every piece you send it to that model, that is chargeable. Right? Now what is happening is you're sending this much of content. Now all the previous conversation you're sending it. So all the model token, I mean, all the previous conversation you send it, each 4 characters is approximate 4 characters is one token. So you will be charged for that. So you need to know that when should you stop. Imagine that you want to send first 25 conversation, 25 pieces of Q&A. And then user is asking 26th. Now what do you do? the topmost one that is a little stale. So you can go and remove that, and still you have 25 pieces. Like 27th message means first two has been excluded. Now 3 to 27. Still you have 25 pieces. So something like that. You need to know what is the charge which you are going to be built, and also how much context you want to send it. Is it a new thing, or is it the same conversation? So what are the number of messages, the previous messages you want to send it? So previous messages to include, we said 10. So now it makes more sense to come back to our sample. Now that we understood a little bit of fundamentals there, let's come back and look at this sample. So in this sample, this is what we are doing. So here we are coming back and we are initializing. The first thing, we are creating a list of chart messages, and we are initializing the system chart message. So this is list of messages. So that's the chart request messages. So this, the first one is system. Always you can see that here in this sample also, you see the first one will be the system message. So you're giving the role play to that guy. And next thing we'll see the Python also, we are doing the similar thing. We'll see that system messages, the messages are a role system message we have uploaded. And then we'll come back to this one. Here the messages we are adding. In C# it is little bit different from Python, but we will see that. First we added the system message, and then this is, we are asking the user to enter the prompt. So we saw that three things we have seen here. When we come back to the code, the first thing is system message, then user assistant, user assistant, user assistant. So the first one is system, then user assistant, user assistant. So here you can see this, the first one is system, you're adding the system message, and then you're accepting the input. So then input you're adding to this, and then you're adding that to the chart completion, the number of messages. So if you go to this chart completions, here you see deployment name, frequency, max token, penalty, presence, temperature, function call, this one, messages object. So this messages object belongs to chart completion options. So this will hold list of chart request messages. So that is what we are doing it here. So the first we have given the system message, and then whatever the input which user has given, that message we are adding it, and to the list of messages, because this is happening within the while loop. Initially there will be only one message or two messages, but as and when the conversation happens, more and more messages will be added. So you can see that the chart message from the message list, at this point of time there are only two. Those two will get added, and then we are making a chart completion. The response will come. Okay, so here you can see this, responses will come into that, and then we are picking up this here. So like this, we are adding one by one. So let's see that how it is happening in Python. So Python, you see this system message, and we are adding the system message, and here the user input, we are adding the user input, and here we are generating the message and the role assistant. So system, user, and role assistant. Looks like I missed the role assistant piece, because there should be another one, because here we got the response, and the response choice should again go back in as it is going in the Python response. Looks like this I missed it. Okay, I'll fix the code. So let's see this, the Python one first. uh, so this is the conversation. Okay, so you see this, it's asking enter the prompt. Here it's in a true while. If I say quit, it comes back. We will not test that. So here, what is an apple? Okay, and now again, what is an, so let's come back and use this queries here. I'm sure I missed, see this one, this piece I missed it. When I was comparing, then I understood that this piece was missing. The response, I missed it. So here we'll use this one. We'll ask the first question. This is the first question. So it gives the response. And based on the response, you see that we'll ask the second question. How difficult the second hike you suggested? Well, add this. Now you can see that it clearly specifies this. And I say quit. Let's quit. Now you can see that here in the Python, I mean, technically, whether it is any programming language, whether it is Python or C#, any programming language, you need to send system, user, assistant, and you need to decide how many previous transactions you need to send. We'll see that there is an issue here, completion response here, exactly. So this is the completion. And after that completion, I missed that piece where we need to pass it back to that. Okay, this I'm adding it here. So I need to pass it back. Now this is the correct thing. Okay, so this is before going to DALI. I will execute this. Let's see the C# version also. So we have covered a lot of ground today. I'll do a summarization, but just give me 1 minute. Let's execute this program and we'll see that. Here the context is very specific to the hiking. Where are we right now? Okay, it's asking us to enter the prompt. So just before that, let's wait here and we'll ask this question. Okay, now you see that message list has got 1. So that means it has got the system message. The first one, that's the system message. And now this is the input. Now you see this is 1. Now I come back here. Now it is 2 messages. Now we have system message, role is system, and here role is user. And I will wait till here and I do an F5. Let's wait for that. And it has written that. And now you still see that the messages are 2. Now if I do this, now it's a third message. The third message is assistant. So now if I come back, do again, now we have 3 messages. I'll go back here and ask the second question. So right now we have only 3 messages. Now I added this. Now we come back to this one. You see that there are 3 messages. The moment I do F10, you will see 4 messages. The fourth message is the latest question. And this is the previous answer what AI assistant has given. This is what the user has asked. and this is the system message. Now let's see that what is that user is, I mean, the system has given. This is the completion. And now you see there will be 4 messages in this one. And now if I do, it will be 5 messages. So that's how, you need to know to pass the previous context, and also how many messages you are passing and what is that you are going to be charged is very, very important. Please be a little careful on that. And that's it from my side. Back to you, Rashmita.
Thank you so much, Swami, for hosting this session. And thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming sessions. Also, we would appreciate your feedback on today's session as it will help us to curate future sessions. Please scan the QR code and do share your feedback. I have already shared the event code for today's event. You will get it in the comment section. Feel free to use the Learn module link. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning further. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.